Hey everyone, and again, thank you for joining us for another BFT Tech video. Today we are going to go over one of our commercial motors here, something that's a little bit more high intensity use, something that's a little bit for your heavier gates, and it is the Icaro. Basically, it comes in two different models. It comes in the 120 version, and then of course it comes in the 230 version. Just a little quick tip, the capacitors in the back, if you do have the 124 version and for whatever reason the capacitor go bad, it takes the 100 microfarad. If you have the 230 volt, it'll take the 25 microfarad. A little history on this thing, just so you kind of understand what you're looking at when you're looking at the label. You ever notice we kind of have a fast model, right? And it'll be called, like, let's say Icaro AC2000 V. Right? You'll notice there's a little V in there somewhere, and it doesn't stand for voltage. It's actually kind of like the Veloce version for Italians. So the difference is the regular one will come with an 18 tooth pinion in the back, and it'll do the 2,000 kilograms as stated, and it goes at 9 meters a minute. If you got the same exact model, the AC2000 with a V, it'll take the 25 tooth pinion in the back, and it cuts your strength down in half. So from 2,000 kilograms to 1,000 kilograms. And also by doing that, it moves your speed up to 12 meters a minute. Now, there are a few motors that are already out, the newer Veloce, but the difference is it'll actually say Veloce in the name. You're not gonna just get a little V. So if you see Veloce in the name, like Icaro AC2000 Veloce, it'll do however many 18 meters per minute or 20 something meters per minute and actually do the kilograms that it's saying. So just a difference there. If you actually have Veloce on the cover, you know that it's going to do the weight stated. If it's just a V model, remember it kind of cuts it down in half, whatever it's going. So that was just a quick overview of what the V versus Veloce is. Also, since like I mentioned, this is a commercial motor, and it's also for up to, if you're using the regular non-V model, it does up to 4,400 pounds. I definitely recommend using our galvanized metal rack. This thing is, for heavier weight and definitely for a lot high intensity use. Let's say you're actually putting it on a residential gate and it's not so heavy. We also carry the plastic rack. There is metal inside, and it's just plastic coated for quietness, so it's not so loud when it's running back and forth. And with that being said, the next thing you should even be doing before you even get to the control boards is installing your limit switches. All right, if you got the regular AC Smart non-ultra, you will come with paddles. And if you notice the DX, this will be your right side of the operator, okay? And remember, you're standing on the inside of the property, looking out. This is the right of the operator, all right? And this is the left. So your DX would go on the right side. And then of course, your SX will go on the left side. And then that brings me to, if you have the Ultra version, same concept, but instead of SX and DX, on the right side of the motor, you have a little R. Make sure this goes mounted to the right of the operator, facing you, with the little part facing towards the gate, all right? Another quick tip is this has to be like about 5 millimeters away from the sensor in the back of the operator for it to work properly. So when it's moving around, you want it to be almost touching the sensor in the back, all right? Same thing for your left side. There will be a little L. Of course, make sure it's on the left side of the operator, facing forward. Okay, going over the limit switches now. Let me touch a little bit on the board so you kind of know what you're looking at. Again, this is our high voltage motor, so be very careful when you're working on it. Make sure you unplug it when you're doing anything. Your L and N from your line voltage, single phase, whether 120 or 230, comes right over here. Here is where your ground goes, and of course you can put your ground rod here on the bottom to connect it all together and do the installation right. Of course, right next to that, you have your aux cables, which you can use for, let's say, a flashing light, or if you want to hook up a mag lock. Right next to this is your limit switch connections. You'll have something connected here if you have the regular smart version, because it is the mechanical limit switches in the back, the little tabs, these guys, right? And then right next to that, you'll notice this is where your encoder goes plugged in, because this operator does use an encoder. And if you're using the Ultra version, you'll notice right over here, there's a white plug. That is where the sensor, the magnetic sensor from the back of the operator goes plugged in instead of this right here. Your orange connection here, that is your auxiliary power for photo beams, receivers, anything like that. Right over here, the black plug, that is where any of your inputs would go. Let's say a keypad, exit probe, anything like that. And then of course we have our safeties on this side. Just a quick tip, there is a few of them out there that have the UL firmware in there. So you probably need to hook it up the way this link says. So ER01 or ER04 would go away. So remember to check that out for your photo beam hookup. And if we move along here, right down here, you notice this is a hookup for your antenna. If you have an external antenna you want to hook up, so your middles will go a little further, right above that, this is your onboard receiver. So that'll take up to 63 remotes without having to add any type of receiver. Now again, you do remember I mentioned this is a commercial motor, so it could be in a residential home, apartment buildings where it has a bunch of people. Right here on the side, there is a plug-in receiver, right? In this plug-in receiver, you can have up to 2,048 remotes added. And that just plugs in and it programs kind of like the Clonics in this video right up here. So check that out. And also, if you need to know how to program the regular remotes, check this video out right up top here. All right. One last thing to go over on the board is right here. If you're doing a primary secondary, you see this little white connection here. This is where your BIBA 485 link card would go, or your BIBA gateway would go, your Wi-Fi gateway. So that is where the BIBA goes. Quick tip on primary and secondary setups, you want to make sure that they are same firmware boards, all right? You want to avoid any type of issues and make sure both firmwares are the same. And also check this video out on top here on how to do that. One last thing that I would like to mention as well also is, remember this thing right here is not HomeLink compatible. So we have a HomeLink kit that you can add on and we can go over the programming and wiring right here. So check those links out as we go. You went over the primary, secondary, you got your HomeLink kit. Let's do the quick setup, all right? So what you normally do is you got 3 buttons. You have your LCD screen, you have your 3 buttons. The top button is plus, the middle button is minus, and the bottom button is okay. All right? To start it off, you just push the OK button one time. You will get language. We would scroll down to select English. I already pre-selected it. You have your direction. That is right hand or left hand. What they're asking you again is, if you're inside the property looking out, is this operator going to be mounted to the right of the driveway, or is it going to be mounted to the left of the driveway? So that's how you choose left or right. We're going to keep it right here for demo purposes. Some of your boards on your quick setup do not have the encoder as an option. All right. So if you don't have it, stay tuned a little bit later in the video for me to go over some things. But if not, of course, you can select your encoder 2, 1, or 0. I myself like to set it to 1. I'll go over that a little bit more later. 2 kind of does everything automatically for you. But not everybody has that option. So again, make sure you select 1 if not. Then you have your presets. You have AR, which is automatic residential, for it to close automatically. You have SR, semi-automatic residential, for you to have to push to open, push to close. AC, automatic commercial, and SC, semi-automatic commercial. There's one more setting in here you have to keep in mind is IND. This is dead man switch, meaning that this operator will not work unless you're physically constantly pushing a button for it to open and close. So keep that in mind. Try to stay away from that if not, but we'll select SR for demo purposes. We go to program. Now, there is a lot of boards out there with different firmwares, right, that are similar and everything, but this new auto set function is actually pretty new. So you might not have the auto set function. If you do, just push OK, the motor will run back and forth. It should set its slow down and its brake for you. Now, let's say you don't have it, right? You don't have the auto set. You push OK and it goes straight to remote programming. Finish programming your remotes, and you saw that link earlier where to go to program remotes. But finish programming your remotes, and then of course you'll be out of the menu and you should be in SUC, right? SUC means the operator's in the closed position. SUO means the operator's in the open position. So you're seeing the SUC, and now you didn't have the auto set, and this is where I recommend you take these extra steps to ensure you have a great installation where you don't have to go back. We would go into the menu option, OK twice quickly, OK twice again, you'll notice you have parameter. First thing I like to do is just go straight to logic by pushing minus, push OK to get into logic, and then I want to go down to encoder. Now you noticed I selected 1 before because it was actually in the quick setup, but most of the time, depending on the firmware, it won't be. So I come in here, I change this to a 1. I push OK to keep it as a 1. Now I will push plus and minus 1 time to back out. All right, now I'm back at logic. I want to go to parameter, push OK at parameter. You're going to push to enter parameter, and now I just push minus several times, and I am looking for op.distance.slow. And what this is going to do is actually set up your slowdown distance, which is important for heavy gates, man, because you get a 4,000 pound gate moving, it doesn't just stop when you tell it to. So I myself like to set it to either a 3 or a 5 if the gate's actually pretty heavy, okay? And what that's doing is setting up the distance of when it starts to slow down before it reaches the limit switch. So push OK to select it. I will push minus 1 more time to get to CL.distance slow because you want it to do it in both directions. Push OK. Set that to either a 3 or a 5 depending on the weight of the gate. Push OK. And one last thing, this one's probably the most important of any of them, is once you finish, you're going to push minus till you get all the way down to the brake. All right, because this thing, you want it, the second it touches the limit switch, you want it to stop. Right, so B-R-A-K-E, K-E. So brake, ready, push OK. It's normally always at a 0 unless you have the option to run the auto set. So this guy, you want to crank it up, minimum 75. Right, so you can push and hold the button down instead of clicking it like a crazy man. And 80, 75, doesn't matter. But you push OK, you definitely want your brake on to help stop that gate right after the slowdown. So you push OK, you get your program. All right, now that you've completed all that, you would just push your plus and your minus several times like a back button to get all the way out. And now all you would need to do in this moment is run the gate open several times back and forth for it to go away. Under normal circumstances, if I had a full program, you should see a set on that screen. Because I made some changes, but remember I didn't fully go through the programming on here. So after you change what I told you, you'll get a set on the screen, run it open and close until it goes away, and you should be good to go. I believe that is all the quick tips on this. Of course, we can go over in depth more, and if you need help, give us a call. But if not, you know what I mean? I hope this was able to help you out. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and pay attention to all of our new videos coming out. We try to keep on going every month at least. Thank you guys.